All right, just listening to a little B.B. King there. Kind of set the mood. My name is George Weir. These are the days of writing ninja. Just starting off here right now. By way of introduction, I'm a writer. I write mostly mysteries. I write fiction, mostly mysteries. A little bit of science fiction. I guess a little bit of steampunk. A little bit of everything. I'm interested in everything, and so I write about it. And I wanted to start off these videos, well, I guess with a little explanation of why writing ninja. Well, obviously, first of all, I'm a writer, so that's the writing part of that. The ninja comes in. I was looking around for some kind of a meme or some kind of a phrase or a word or something like that, and I got to thinking about my life. My life as a writer, and it has been one of stealth as far as writing and publishing is concerned. I have been sneaking up on writing for most of my life. I'm 51 years old. I'll be 52 here in just a couple of weeks, and a ninja, first of all, is cool. You can't beat that. Okay, a ninja's freaking cool. Second of all, a ninja is patient, infinitely patient. Sometimes you would have to, I guess you were a real ninja, you were going to assassinate someone. You would wait and wait and wait until the moment was just right, and then you'd strike from complete invisibility. And that's the third part, the invisible, the dark part. I've always wanted to help writers, fledgling writers, people coming along, because I really didn't have anyone to help me when I got started. No one to overtly step out and say, you know, here you go, kid. This is what you do. You do this, and then you do that, and then you go forward and you do this and that, and then it's done. And I didn't have anybody like that, so it was all trial and error. There are a lot of stories I could tell you about how some of my escapades, how things went woefully wrong and how they went terribly right. I will tell you this: I would not take away any experience that I've had, because those experiences were, first of all, they were genuine and they were real, but they were also honest. I made some honest mistakes, some beauties. And we'll talk about that later. I'll tell you everything. There's nothing I feel like I need to hold back on. But I do want to help out people just getting started in writing. So that's why. So this is, I guess you could call this episode 00. The first episode, hopefully the one that people will look at, they'll first, before viewing any other material that will, come hereafter, just to kind of get an idea of what I'm about, what this is about. But what I do want to do is help you sneak up on writing and publishing. And you could call this first video opening lines. Opening lines. That's just so appropriate for a first video. Opening lines. So I've got a stack of books here. A good hefty little stack of books. And I'm going to read you some opening lines. Some of these are fairly famous authors. One or two you may not know very well, but you will get to know them before long. And then at the end, I'll read some opening lines from a few of my books. Not that they're particularly great or anything like that, but just to kind of give you an idea of what you're doing. So when when you write the opening lines of a book, you're hooking the reader. You've heard this before. It's in all of the guides and whatnot on writing that are out there. But I want to go a little bit more in depth about that. Every book that you have read, I don't care if it's science fiction or if it's mystery or if it's romance or what it is, it's a mystery. I will tell you that right now. Every one of them is a mystery. The reader doesn't know really what the book is. You can look at the cover and kind of get an idea what the book is about, but you don't really know what it is. What is this animal? What species of a mystery, or what species of a love story is this? With your opening line, what you want to do is get the reader hooked in the first few words, ideally in the first line, definitely in the first chapter. And if you haven't done that, you'd better do it in that first page. It's just so important. So I'm going to start off with, this is a book called Outlaw Road. It's written by a friend of mine who's a really fantastic writer. His name is Billy Kring. He and I have written together in the past, and we will be writing together in the future. This is Outlaw Road, and this particular book, I'm just going to read you Billy's opening line. Where are my glasses? Yeah, well, hold on here. Let's do this right. So, it's a sign of age. Age, I'm getting old. Yes, yes. Okay. Chapter 1, Outlaw Road. The Great Canyons run like claw marks off the spine of the Sierra Madre, as if some enormous lion god had pulled Mexico to ground like prey. I'll go on here. Pale wounds 6,000 feet deep furrow through soil and stone in jagged chasms extending for many miles before shallowing and blending into the landscape of a less feral part of the country. Paints a picture. So there's some mystery there. What kind of characters or what kind of situations are going to go into this backdrop? That's the first mystery. Okay, you've painted a picture. What is this a picture of? It's not just the landscape, but there's something going on in this country. And and just on the cover, he kind of captures it here. There's something potentially nefarious going on. We don't know. But this is by the way, one of the best mysteries I have ever read. And it's, I think, the only mystery that I've ever read twice. It's that good. And there you go, Billy. My little hook for you, okay? Hoping that one day you'll show up on my show, because I am going to be interviewing a lot of authors in future broadcasts here. So that was Outlaw Road. Ace Atkins, here's a guy. He wrote a book called The Ranger, which is a Quinn Colson novel. And I'm going to read you the opening line, or a little bit from that. Chapter 1. Quinn headed home, south on the Mississippi Highway, in a truck he had bought in Phoenix City, Alabama for $1,500. A U.S. Army rucksack beside him, stuffed with enough clothes for the week, and a sweet Colt .44 Anaconda he had won in a poker game. Whoa! Okay, so he not only paints a picture there, but he tells you a little bit of something about the character. The character is, he gives you his name, Quinn. He gives you the fact that he's headed home, and sort of a little bit of the circumstances. We know that he's a gambler. We know that he's probably right out of the Army. and he likes to play poker. How many questions, that's the thing, how many questions can you pose with your opening line? How many, how much or how big of a question mark can you put out there? That's what I'm talking about. And this guy, Ace Atkins, fantastic writer. He does it well. The guy's a study. I don't read a whole lot of mysteries because I don't like to like it to affect my own writing. But I will read the mysteries that my friends write, just because I have to. But they're good guys. Okay, cool. So the next book is Milton T. Burton's The Rogue's Game. Milton is gone. We lost him. He passed away in I think it was 2011. I think it was November 30th, 2011. He's gone, but certainly not forgotten. Love the guy. One of the most brilliant authors that Texas has ever put out there. And this is his first book, his first publication, The Rogue's Game. I'm going to read you just a little bit of this, not just the first line, but several lines of this opening paragraph to give you a sample of his work. Milton was kind of out there. He let you know exactly what he was thinking. He was very overt. So here we go. Chapter 1 of The Rogue's Game. It was a small city in Texas. The name doesn't matter. It's enough for you to know that it was west of the Brazos River and east of the Pecos. And if this description doesn't tell you anything, buy a map. I love that. The population hovered around 50,000 for the first half of the century, but the war brought an air base and the numbers soared while the local economy boomed. I'd been there for a week back in the fall of 1942 on assignment with the Office of Strategic Services, and I disliked the place enough that I intended to go back someday. There were complications for me when the war ended, and it was the spring of 47 before I could get my affairs in order and return. We traveled at night. It was late April, and already the thermometer was climbing into the high 80s in the daytime, but the nights were cool, and the wind coming in through the open window of the car had a tart edge to it. Outside, I could smell the mesquite and the sagebrush, and whenever we crossed one of the many little wet weather creeks that cut up the land, I caught the fine night odor of damp earth that means so much in that dry country. This book is unique in that Milton never reveals the name of the main character. It's obviously written in first person, but he never does reveal the guy's name. And so it's what I call an everyman book, in that when you're reading it, you're the character. He just puts you right in the story. He gives you the visual imagery, and with just a few words, he will conjure everything you need to know about the character. It's just he just had an amazing ability, and it was my privilege to work with him. We wrote a book together called Long Fall from Heaven. It's on this shelf back behind me here. There are a number of books here, and here's Long Fall from Heaven right here. And I wasn't going to read from this, but I'll read real briefly the first couple of words. First line from this is very, very small type. Okay. He paced the long floor in the night, 28 steps the long way, 9 steps the width of the old hardwood floor. After the first hour of the first night, he knew the square footage down to the inch. From there, it was a quick extrapolation to determine the cubic area, given the 14-foot antebellum ceilings. He loved the old house, the way the floors creaked and groaned. He also hated it. The scent of old resin and yellowing linen wallpaper hung in the air, the constant reminder of age and a dissolution held in long abeyance. The house should have been shelled or burned during the Civil War, but somehow the old building had escaped that insane bloodbath. It was likely one of only a few. Okay, that's me and Milton Burton there, Long Fall from Heaven. So, all right, so opening lines. You would think that an opening line in fiction is far more important than it would be in nonfiction. Wrong. Okay, so this is a book called The Battle of Franklin. It's a part of the Civil War Sesquicentennial series written by James R. Knight. Jim is a friend of mine who lives in Franklin, Tennessee. He's a brilliant author and historian. Here's the book, The Battle of Franklin. And I'm just going to read to you the first sentence here. I might read a little bit more than that, but at least the first sentence. It starts off like this. Fountain Branch Carter was worried. That's the first sentence. Fountain Branch Carter was worried. How many questions does that pose? Who is Fountain Branch Carter? Why is he worried? There are at least two questions there. So again, how many questions can that opening line posit? Okay. So I guess I'm gonna go ahead and read a little bit more of this. Fountain Branch Carter was worried. Columbia Pike, the macadamized road that ran in front of his house at the south edge of this small town of about 800 people, was crowded with Union soldiers and their horses, wagons, and artillery pieces, with more stretched out along the pike as far toward the south as he could see. His yard was filling up with men in blue, pitching tents and starting campfires. An officer had knocked on his front door and gotten him out of bed before daylight, and now his parlor was serving as the field headquarters for a federal division commanded by Brigadier General Jacob Dolson Cox, with staff officers and messengers coming and going in a steady stream. Wow, okay, so he paints a picture right there. You can see the house, you can see the line of men and the wagons and all the artillery and everything. You know there's going to be a big fight. So, that for the Battle of Franklin. All right, a couple of my opening lines here. You know, this is like Call Me Ishmael, you know, from Moby Dick, you know. That opening line's is important. It's not the most important thing in the world, but it is important. You do want to hook the reader. You want to get them going here. Okay, cool. So this is my book, The Last Call, and this book has done well for me. I wrote this some time ago. All right, let's see how many questions are posed here. Just in this first sentence. Prologue. The concrete-walled room had not seen daylight in 80 years. Huh? 80 years? How could it not see daylight in 80 years? Where is this place? Does it have any windows? Is it what? It'd have to be, if it did have windows and there was no daylight, the windows have to be covered, or it'd have to be underground. You see what I'm saying? The questions, boom, 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 boom. That's what you want to do. But I'm going to go ahead and read a little bit more of this, and we're going to answer a few, and then we're going to pose a few more and answer a few and pose. It's an exchange. It's a give and take. It's back and forth. The concrete-walled room had not seen daylight in 80 years. Its original visitors were the occasional mouse or dung beetle, which died of thirst or hunger shortly after happening along. There was a growing collection of the bones and husks of such, spread around in dry little piles. The room's furnishings, which consisted of little more than a small card table and a turn-of-the-century rocking chair, had been perfectly preserved in the dry North Texas climate, and the room's only permanent occupant, seated in the rocking chair, grinned vacantly in the dark, waiting to greet the first interloper to come along. The occupant was a skeleton, little more than fine clothing over crumbling, desiccated flesh and protruding bone. Had the skeleton still retained its meat, and had blood still coursed through its now empty spaces, it would have been surprised at the sudden presence that shushed through the inky blackness overhead and landed on its lap, cracking its pelvis and sending decades of dust flying. Okay. So that's it for the last call. And so let me, here's Myrrh and Elysium. This is one of my second series. And where'd my glasses go? That's amazing. They just, I don't know how they ended up over here, but let me grab them. A little magic trick there. A little legerdemain. I like those big words. Alright, here we go. From the prologue from Murder and Elysium. From time to time, people recognize me from the magazine article in Texas Monthly. Okay, you know, first off, that it's a first-person book. And the question is, well, who the hell are you? You know, from time to time, people recognize me from... It just poses questions. So questions. That's what I'm trying to get to here. And all right, now I was trying to, I guess, set the world's record for the longest opening sentence when I wrote this one. This is from Capital Offense, the second book in my Bill Travis mystery series, of which there are now 13 of them that are out there. All right, here we go. And all right, just chapter 1. What's an Austin boy transplanted from let me start all over. What's an Austin boy transplanted from deep East Texas, can you say amen, supposed to do when he finds himself deep inside a maximum security prison in Huntsville, Texas, in an interview room with a kid who is facing one turned-down appeal after another before they put a series of needles into his arm that will finally do what no amount of legal deterrence could do before, stop him for good? What's he supposed to do when this kid nonchalantly drops a little tidbit of information that he shouldn't know and couldn't know unless what he says is true? And it's information that may very well bring down a governor. Bring him down, that is, only if somebody like me is willing to push it. What's an Austin boy supposed to do when he stumbles across a sleeping dog like that? Kick him? Maybe. That's usually my motto. But sometimes, when you kick him, that old dog snaps right back at you. The current case in point. So it's just setting up the book. That's really all that the opening line does, is kind of set things up. You want to really kind of get the ball rolling, and you don't want. Here's what you don't want. You don't want your reader to stop at that point. You definitely don't. Somebody's trying to call me, and I'm turning him down. You don't want him to stop. You want him to keep going. And another author who's a great author is I should have pulled down one of his books before I started, but just trust me. All you got to do is pick up any one of his books and start reading. His name is Joe Lansdale, or Joe R. Lansdale. He's very prolific. He's fairly famous. He does really well. Anytime he puts out a book, he goes to the top of the New York Times bestseller list. He's just a genius. And he actually inspired me to write from a very early age. But he has this technique, and it was actually a coined term called Lansdaling. He would just go off. You know, he'd start off, he'd hit the ground running. It's sort of like he's standing in the back of a pickup, and the pickup's going 20, 30 miles per hour, and he starts running off the back of that pickup, and when the first word hits the page, he's already running. And that is best way I can describe his writing. Just wonderful stuff. Like I say, inspired me from a very early age. So Joe Lansdale, check him out. He's great. I know a lot of authors. There are some pictures of Joe posing with me at some writing conference or something like that. I know all these guys, and I'll tell you, in the writing community, we help each other out. These guys and the women, they're just incredible people. They're just good people, and I really appreciate everything that they've done for me. They're very kind. They'll go out of their way to help you, and that's just the nature of this business. So I don't want you to feel, if you're starting out writing, that you're all alone, because you're not. You can always drop me an email, texasweir@gmail.com, or shoot, if you got my phone number, just call me. I usually answer my phone, except for just now, and I didn't. But I'm usually happy to talk to people just about on any subject. I don't feel like there's anything that I can't mangle. And I mangled quite a few things. That's another little thing there. You have to adopt a breakage attitude towards life. Is what the measure of a person is, I think, their tenacity and whatnot. A measure of their potential for success is how dangerous they are to their environment, not how dangerous your environment is to you. It's, are you going to break something? Because if you're not breaking something somewhere, somehow, then you're not even trying. You've got to go out, you've got to talk to people, you've got to get to know people. You have to charge forward. You have to just be willing to make a damn mistake. The mistakes that you make are invaluable. They're priceless. And people are, oh, I'm so afraid I might make a mistake. I might make an error here, and it could come back to haunt me. Well, who cares? Make a mistake. Be willing to take some risks. Okay, get your name out there. Commit the act of publishing. Because once you do, it's a rush, and you will not get it out of your system. It'll get in your blood, and you'll want to do it again and again. Right there on that shelf, 27 novels, I've written a few. That's not that many. I know people. Guys like Bill Kreider from down in Alvin, Texas. He's the kind of the godfather of the Texas mystery. I don't know how many books the guy's written. Probably 60 or 120 or who knows. But it's just sheer genius. I don't think the guy questions himself. I don't think that he may have done so very early on, but I think at some point, anybody who's going to do this learns to ignore that little voice, that little doubting Thomas that's there. It's like, shut up, shut your noise. You got to learn to ignore that voice. Let's see, what else do I have here? Well, I'm not going to read anything more to you right now. But I've got a couple of shelves back over here. These two shelves right here. All of those books are signed by their authors, and most of them, I know. I mean, they're friends of mine, or I consider them to be friends. I hope the hell they consider me to be a friend. Several are no longer with us, and that's regrettable. But such is life. People come along and we get to know them or get to know a little bit about them, and then they're gone again. That's really, in the final analysis, in the final analysis, we are not, we are really not. You know what I mean? In the final analysis, you take a look at it, we're colorless, weightless, odorless. According to the physical universe, we're not even there. The spark, the spiritus, the thing that we are, that can perceive and postulate and can take recordings of the physical universe with 52 perceptics, and that thing, that divine spark is according to the physical universe, it doesn't even exist, but that's what we are. So as a writer, we sell air. That's all we sell. It's ideas. Ideas, though, are the only thing that can go through armor plate. Bullets can't stop an idea. And so if you get this writing bug, you get it in your blood, then you may need some help from time to time, and that's where Writing Ninja hopefully will come in. I don't know everything. But hell, what I don't know, I'll make up. And you have to have a confidence in yourself, such that when you make a decision about something, it's right. Make a decision and then stick to it. It's right, unless the whole world gangs up on you and shows you that you're wrong. Still there's going to be a little bit of something there going, yeah, I was really the only right one. So you got to have that. You got to be a maverick. You got to stand out, on your own, and but it also helps to have friends, and hopefully that's what I'll be to you guys. Feel free to contact me. I'm here. Hopefully I'll be able to answer your questions. And, I'll always try and steer you in the right way. I'll never overtly lie to you. But I do want to have fun with this. And once I get all my instrumentation and everything set up here, picture-in-picture, all that stuff like that, hopefully I'll be able to do some interviews directly and via Skype or what have you, or maybe I'll just throw up a picture of the author I'm interviewing and then draw a little mustache while he's talking to me or something like that. That'd be a lot of fun. It'd be a kick in the pants. But anyway, I'm here, Writing Ninja, and I guess that's it. Okay.